They were moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Real quick, I mean, they're sitting there at number 7 overall. They had Nick Foles. They're going to build around Nick Foles. I thought I tweeted out. Well, let me get your thoughts initially, and I'll get to my tweet, which I thought was from a couple days ago, which I thought summed things up pretty well with the Nick Foles era the last couple of years with the Eagles. What are your thoughts on Foles and the Jags?
Well, so I thought they still could draft quarterback at 7 overall until I saw they paid him $22 million. And then I said to myself, that's starter money.
Right.
Which is why they gave him $22 million apparently instead of offering him $18 million, because they want him to be the unquestioned starter in the locker room. So they didn't lowball him.
That was the big question. Who are they bidding against?
But exactly. They weren't bidding against anybody but themselves, offered straight away in the $20 million range to him apparently. I'm not going to say it's a bad move because their hands were tied. They put themselves in a position where this was their only move with a roster that is only built to win now. They don't have a lot of – this isn't a long-term built roster in terms of the free agents they have paying big money to in the next couple seasons. And so if you're drafting a quarterback hoping he's going to lead you to a Super Bowl year 1, chances are that's not going to happen. Year 2, it could happen, but the roster is still, again, it's an aging roster. Nick Foles was your only option after you committed to Blake Bortles, and that didn't work out. So we'll just see how it goes. At this point, I'm not going to criticize it. We'll just see how it goes.
So they're drafting DK Metcalf at 7.
Yes, is what 95% chance if he's there. I'll see it. I'd guess they're drafting DK Metcalf.
That's our take. DK Metcalf, and then another receiver in the 2nd round. I mean, because they're going to go into the draft, I think, saying, okay, we're doing pretty well on defense. We lost Malik Jackson, but we drafted Taven Bryan last year to kind of replace him. Mm-hmm. You still have Jalen Ramsey, AJ Boye at corner. You still have good linebackers. You have Calais Campbell. So they're going to look at their defense and say, okay,
we're set.
We're good. We're 2 years removed from having one of the best defenses in the league. And they're going to look at the offense and say, okay, we've got Nick Foles. We've got questions at playmaker. We could still – the offensive line's not bad. It's okay. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be playmakers.
Yeah.
It has to be, right?
The only other player I could see being the pick at 7, Jawan Taylor. They released Jeremy Parnell.
That's right.
They could slot in at right tackle right away.
Right.
Only really other player I could see. So one of those two probably is what you're going to get, Jags fans.
But it's offensive players. And I'll tell you what, if we're talking, we should do a video on building the Jags too. If they don't go, or whether or not they do go DK Metcalf, I can still come back to this whole 2nd and 3rd round. It's a deep tight end class.
Yes.
It's a deep wide receiver class. You could get an Hakeem Butler maybe top end of the 2nd. You can get a Caleb Wilson at tight end maybe in the 3rd from UCLA. And all of a sudden, okay, we've got 2 guys we might be able to plug right in as playmakers. We could see them go Jawan Taylor at tackle, Hakeem Butler at wide receiver, and Caleb Wilson at tight end. And all of a sudden, okay, those are 3 intriguing parts to the offense for the Jaguars.
Because at this point, Marquise Lee, D.D. Westbrook, nothing at tight end. I mean, they really don't have anybody there. So that's not the start of a good
D.D.'s
offense.
a supplemental, complementary piece at wide receiver.
They need someone. So it's going to be someone there.
So DK Metcalf or Jawan Taylor at 7.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, we can maybe get my Nick Foles tweet. I'll get the image for you. We'll get it up here on the video. But Nick Foles, the best games graded by the Eagles, by Eagles quarterbacks over the last 2 years. This just sums up the Nick Foles era of the last 2 years, right? The top 2 grades are by Nick Foles. NFC Championship and the Super Bowl, 92.9 and 90.7. The next 7 games are from Carson Wentz, and then the next 3 are from Nick Foles, and then the next 5 from Carson Wentz. I mean, it's essentially Nick Foles has the best 2, and then Carson Wentz has been the better quarterback.
Yes.
But the worst graded games by the Eagles quarterbacks over the last 2 years, 4 out of the worst 5 have been Foles, and 6 out of the worst 10 have been Foles.
That's oversampling, we say in the analytics community.
Oversampling?
I mean, he's been oversampled. I mean, it's statistically relevant.
Yeah. So here's the thing. We've joked that Foles is very Flacco-ish. I do still think if you give him a full season opportunity, he's a 73 overall, 75, 70 type of quarterback in PFF terms, 0 to 100. That ends up being a top 20 quarterback, which is, I think you're just kind of banking on the volatility to come at the right time.
Yes.
With Nick Foles. I think that's just where we are.
And to be fair, in his credit, he wasn't losing games for the Eagles. He had bad games. He wasn't throwing away games. Blake Bortles was throwing away games.
Look, Foles.
He was actually over the last 2 seasons one of the safer in terms of turnover worthy plays.
Right.
At the quarterback position, he had one of the lower marks in the NFL. what that offense needs.
He has a history of taking care of the ball pretty well. Even in 2013 when he had those 2 interceptions, it wasn't like he had a little bit of interception luck. That was extreme, but he was pretty good at taking care of the ball. I'm fascinated on just having more Nick Foles data points. We've seen him in 2013 in the Chip Kelly offense when the league had no idea what to do with it, where he was not nearly as good as the crazy stats that he put up. 2014 he regressed. 2015 he started for the Rams, almost wanted to retire. And then comes back, and when he did take over the Eagles in 2017, he had some ugly games, and then he had the ridiculous playoff run.
Yep.
So a full season of play in a mid-tier offense by the Jags. I want to see what we have here in Nick Foles.
I do too.
So that's just where I am with him and the Jags.